Hello, doing a post-run commentary, actually, due to some issues with the audio on this recording. This is a Builder Ascension 1 run that we're about to do. Looking at the map here to see what path I want to take. I start with the first aid kit. This is a relic I'm actually slightly growing on me as far as a good way to deal with the curses that you take by corrupting relics, which is something that you absolutely should be doing in this game. It's still much better to remove the curses, because especially a lot of the curses do their bad thing when you draw them. If you get rid of them and then replace them after you draw them, it doesn't help that much, but at least it does replace them. And any relic that charges on depletion of enemies' health bars is usually going to be up whenever you need it. So we're starting here. Very first fight, we're fighting a bird. Nothing too exciting yet. Really, we could have killed this bird anyway, but just constructing the pipe gun. So the builder, obviously we're looking for machine parts, or is it metal parts? Metal parts that constructs into a Gatling gun, which is, probably the builder's best card. There it is. See, this is such an incredible shop. We have a cataphract armor, probably one of the best relics in the game, and a metal parts. And of course I want the D8, and we don't have enough money to do all of it. And I only can use my dice twice. So I'm looking here to see if there's a possibility of me coming across another shop then I might find more metal parts. One of the nice things about metal parts, despite it being one of the best cards the builder has, is it is only uncommon, so it's not that hard to come across, and actually you'll see by the end of the run we have more than one. So I decided to go for cataphract armor first because of that fact that, I'm probably going to find another metal parts, but I'm probably not going to run across cataphract armor again. Cataphract armor, of course, is best when you can corrupt it, so that you're not getting D4 power and block, you're gaining, D8 or D6 or hell, D20 power and block. Then it's crazy, stupid broken, but it is still very good, even in its default state. I try one run to get more money to buy that metal parts, or try a roll, rather, but I don't get it. I decided that trying to dice up my money, a 6, 7, or an 8 would have gotten me enough money, whereas only a 1 would have worked for me trying to dice down the cost of the metal parts. So I went for dicing up my money, but it didn't happen. Design is another card that can get us some metal parts, because we can discover metal parts with it. We don't in this case, but design is a great card for the builder because it's free. Any card that's free, the builder is interested in, because that will help his construct. Okay. Wolf is one of the, not as bad as the goose, but definitely more annoying than some of the other floor 1 enemies you can fight. The goose is, an iconic in this game for a reason. It's goofy looking, goofy sounding, and very annoying because they make you discard your cards. Especially right at the beginning of the game when you don't have that many cards. That's often seems laser targeted and discarding exactly the card that you want. Here's something else that I think is a good thing to do early on. Any class, I think, should be aggressively rolling cards early in the game, because if you want to win against those the first elites, the Goblin Sharpshooter and the Crow Lord, you need more than your starting deck to do it. You need some pretty good cards. Even though rolling relics is probably more worthwhile. For the first couple of reward screens in the game, absolutely, I think you should be rolling cards to try to find good damage. Here's that goose I was talking about, my nemesis. We're going to gain some block here. I decide that's better than all my other options, to take as little damage as possible. Although in general in this game, I think that offense is much, much better than defense. You know, any card whose sole purpose is to gain block is usually not going to be good enough. And you're much more interested in cards that, you know, gain block incidentally as a part of doing some other kind of effect. Yep, there it is. Discarded exactly the card that I wanted. Alright, it's time for you to die, Goose. Don't remember if I kill him this turn or not. I think I do. No, he lives another day. Cataphract armor already doing work this early in the game. I don't think I'll hover over it again, but Cataphract armor has gained D4 temporary power and block whenever you deplete an enemy's health bar. Once again, he discards our only other damage card, so we can't kill him. Alright, but the Builder's Relic means the third card that you cast in a turn, you will draw more cards and gain a mana. So I just cast the block just to activate that relic and draw some more cards. I do love the animation on the little bush warrior, especially when you hit him and he gets knocked down. Buff is probably the best card you can get off of Sleight of Hand because it's increase a number. Very, you know, there's a lot of effects that replace a number with a dice, but only buff is increase a number, and that is can be really good. In general, Sleight of Hand, good card, but you probably don't want too many because buff and nerf and things like that can be used in creative ways. Nerf is a great way to draw cards. If you nerf the number in your draw deck, you know, by D6, that's essentially draw D6 cards. Look at my upgrade possibilities here. Design gives you keep, which is not all that exciting. Design is a free card anyway, so there's very few reason not to cast it the turn that you draw it. Sleight of Hand upgraded is really when it shines, because then it gives you a mana to cast the card that you get from it. So absolutely, if you're going to take Sleight of Hand, you really should upgrade it. I think I ultimately decided to go with Pipe here, because that's the only card that seems worth it. Ponder, again, gives you keep, but not overly excited about that. Alright, now the Goblin Sharpshooter. Let's see how we do against him. I mean, you can see based on the length of this length of this video, that yes, this is a victory here. So we know we're going to win against him, but it's always interesting to see how it plays out. So it's always a good idea to reduce the accuracy of the sharpshooter. He really has a hard time recovering from that if you get it down really low. Of course, he's going to gain accuracy if he misses based on focus. Bad luck also, as you can see, really nerfs him because now he's only 6% to hit me because we had bad luck. And one of the nice things about Sleight of Hand is you get to keep that card that you create and use it again and again. So I'm pretty sure he never actually hits us because we were able to keep him keep bad luck on him. Okay, let's see what we get with design. Looking at gun barrel here. It constructs to deal 9 damage and apply 6 burn. Another pipe. I decide because that takes 2 mana to cast that I think the pipe is better for now, just because it's cheaper. Again, looking at my relic here, and one more card will... Casting one more card will draw us 2 cards and get us a mana, so... If I ponder here, that's a mistake. Yeah, okay, good. I was thinking I shouldn't ponder, because I won't have any mana to cast whatever spell I draw. Ooh, a bit lame to only draw strikes and blocks against anyone, really, but against an elite enemy especially. Again, we will draw a little bit more. There we go. I decided to pipe gun him here to get some more mana bar or health bar depletions to activate cataphract armor a few times. And he still has bad luck, so he's still, even though we haven't reduced his accuracy, he's still very unlikely to hit us. Now this time I do ponder because again now I will gain a mana from our builder relic, so I can cast whatever we draw. And here we go. It's enough to finish out the fight. Very good goblin sharpshooter fight, ultimately. I still don't have a lot of dice charges to play with, so I'm looking at my options here. Humble is a great virtue card, but I think I take Wonder because it nets you an extra mana, and I do sometimes use purple. I guess we'll see here. You know what? Actually, I think I take Humble, if I remember correctly. Just because Humble is blue and we're guaranteed to be able to use the mana that it gives us. Whereas if Wonder gives us red, we can't do anything with it. Yep. Some interesting cards here. Steam Engine is cool. It's a neat card by itself that it turns colored mana into neutral mana. That's one thing, if you've played this game for any amount of time, you've probably run into a situation where you needed neutral mana. I have lots of mana. I have 10 mana, but all of it is colored, and I need a colorless, neutral mana. So it's good that it'll turn blue into neutral, but deciding if I want to reroll or save my charges. Adaptive Capacitor is decent. I decide I do want to burn a charge here to get better cards. Again, I think that aggressive rolling cards is a good idea early on in a run. I take Siege Tent here just because it looks interesting and I've never taken it before. I do end up liking it. I think that it is a pretty good construct card. Fall Summer, it's certainly below Gatling Gun, but it's a decent card if you can't get a Gatling Gun or other methods of dealing damage. Soda in combination with Adaptive Charger is good. That basically guarantees you're going to overflow mana and then therefore get some more capacity when you first start a combat. So I'm happy to take Soda here. It's a great combo, and again, more way to gain neutral mana, which is always a good thing. Wolf Crow. Wolf Crow's usually not too bad. Better than like Goose Wolf or Goose Goose. Let's see, what do I do here? I think I decide that I want to try to construct Siege Tent just to see what it's like. In this situation, I probably should have used it on my mana, but I decided to try and draw some cards with it. I'm seeing that I'm not going to be able to cast it once I construct it. But I still want to construct it. Oh wait, no, I did figure out a way. There we go. Yeah, stitch my strike and my block, and then use sleight of hand, which is free, to construct it, and that gives me 2 blue that I can cast Trebuchet with. Probably would have been better to just pitch that to Trebuchet, honestly. But this all ends up working just fine. Humble doing work. I was just going through the upgrade tree because I have a friend who's starting to play, and I was kind of looking through to remind myself of what the pre-upgrade runs were like, and the virtue cards are an upgrade, which is crazy to me because they seem so utterly vital, you know, to the functioning of any deck. Okay, but somehow I did it. And we have another Trebuchet that we can get. I don't remember what I do with it. Yeah, I think I reroll. Get a 2, which is a bit disappointing. Not really excited about either of these. Clean sweep, I'm pretty sure. I haven't ever taken it before. But I think the idea is that you can exert cards in your hand, because the only thing it does is exert. So if you want to get rid of some extra cards, maybe some malady cards, or just some strikes and blocks to thin your deck, it'll do that. Looking at the map here to see if I want to burn my charge, my last 2 charges here, and I do, because I'm going to go back up and to the top lane and to fight the second elite, the Crow Lord. Build is a good card. Build lets you circumvent the whole construction process and just build a card immediately without having to bother with doing the whole construct thing. So Goose, not a particularly, you know, damaging encounter, but a very, very, you know, the sequencing is very important of your cards to try to avoid the discards that the Goose are likely to do to you. Luckily, Goose aren't very hardy. They have a lot of HP. We got a pretty high roll from that Goose there. Ugh. Come on, Goose. Leave me alone. Once again, just because it's cheaper, I opt for Pipe, and of course, he makes me discard it. The absolute jerk. Pondering a couple of times here. Unfortunately, the second time fizzled because we didn't have anything in our draw deck. And now I have a terrible combination of cards. If I don't have the mana to cast Build to use Pipe Bomb, to use the Pipe Gun. So the only sensible thing to do really is pitch Build to just smack him with the pipe. Get some power from Cataphract Armor. And we'll just bonk him. Another high roll from that Goose on the right. I said that Goose is not a particularly damaging encounter, but they certainly can be if you get bad draws and your deck isn't very good yet. Even just rewatching this, I can feel the blood surge whenever the Goose makes me discard a card that I like. Alright, we got some lucky rolls from Cataphract, so we're sitting pretty. We go buff, definitely the best card that you can get with Sleight of Hand. Even though it's highly unnecessary, I just cast it here. let's do 8 damage 3 times. I think I do go for a second sleight of hand here. Again, it is free, which is nice, and when upgraded, actually gives you a purple mana in order to cast the card that it finds. So yeah, I think the unupgraded version is pretty meh, but upgraded sleight of hand is fantastic. All right, Piggy. This thick skin continues to be incredible one. I don't get any of the colors of mana that I need. That happens sometimes with this the game where the mana that you gain is random. Okay, this is a pretty interesting card, but it just seems that very rarely am I actually looking to do something interesting with drawing a bunch of cards. It always seems much better to just deal some damage or something like that. Gain mana, draw cards. Those are the 3 things you're looking to do. Deal damage, gain mana, draw cards. Okay, we will buff. Do I buff the cannon here? Yeah. Good move. Just to try it, there's another card that I haven't actually used before. Seems fine. Again, the 2 mana is a bit prohibitive. And I feel like there's better things to be doing with 2 mana this early in the game, but that's why the Discover is such a good card, because it lets you try out these other cards without actually putting them in your deck permanently. And then every now and then you get a metal parts from it, so. Alright, yeah. We'll ponder up a pipe gun. Trebuchet seems better. Yeah, another buff. Don't remember what I do here. Yeah, buff pipe gun. That seems fine given the mana that we had. Nope. I use it on Trebuchet. Oh, actually that was a good idea because I was about to gain mana to play it. Increase the kick value with buff. Nice. Alright. I know for sure that I don't take anything here. Once again, looking to see if I think that I'll have enough charges stocked for when we face the Crow Lord. It's always a good idea to have a few charges when you're fighting any elite. Autoblist is okay. Again, with crossbows are really, in my opinion, only good when they're free, when they're upgraded. So an unupgraded crossbow is only middling. What are my upgrade options here? So the siege tent itself becomes easier to cast slightly. Again, I go for sleight of hand here. Anyway, briefly mentioned maneuver here. Maneuver is always a good card, but again, especially good for the builder because free cards are perfect for constructing cards. So we hit a removal. I don't have any curses or anything, but it's still not a bad idea to thin out your deck. I'm deciding if I want to delete strike block or 2 strikes. I believe I ultimately go for 2 strikes, yeah, because I would much rather in an emergency situation draw a block than a strike, because my damage is not coming from strikes, it's coming from all my construct cards. So I'm not missing out on anything important. Dumbbell's not bad. D6 power at the start of the turn. Nice to get a little boost before Cataphract armor kicks in. Wolf Wolf. Always looking for buffs, although again, nerf is also good. It can just be D8 damage. Here's an experiment I try where I'm nerfing the construct cost of Siege Tent. Construct to 0, so it still needs to just cast a single card. Oh, and the upgraded Trebuchet only costs 1 mana to cast. That's another great, good shout there. And I said it before my other runs, but the targets of your first upgrades, I think, should be mana related. Either having a card give you mana, like Sleight of Hand, or reducing the cost of something like Trebuchet. And of course, that Trebuchet did amazing work for us. Luckily, none of the wolves dodged any of those shots. Another Sleight of Hand. Might be getting a little bit greedy with the Sleight of Hands here. Okay. This fight goes very well because look, we use design to discover metal parts, and we have a build. Perfect. So metal parts constructs into Gatling gun, which is D6 damage, repeat 6 times, and is evolve 6 and also rebound, which means it comes into your hand again. So as long as you can get another 2 mana, green and blue mana to cast it, you can just keep playing it over and over, and it keeps repeating more and more often every time you do that. Many a builder run has been won off of the back of Gatling gun. Trying to decide what the best thing to buff here is, evolve or the initial damage. It probably doesn't make that big of a difference in the end, especially on the first floor where people don't have that much health. Oh yeah. All those procs with 22 power now. Doesn't help against the Crow Lord, but repeating 11 times certainly helps, or however much that was. No, that would have repeated 17 times. Bloodthirster is a good relic. Just look at my options here. To gain crit whenever you deplete an enemy's health bar. Again, almost all the relics that say when you deplete an enemy's health bar, do X are worth taking. Okay, Vitality and Confidence. Vitality gives me colors I'm looking for, and is also pretty good. So, it's a good virtue card for us. It doesn't have bonus or anything like that, but, heal 4 HP is valuable. Shockwave is kind of just a universally good card. It's a little expensive, but it's great for reducing, power and thick skin and the various buffs that the enemies can give themselves. For example, the piggy right there who has thick skin. Let's ponder up some cards. We'll take Design and Sleight of Hand. Probably should have taken 1 die there, but that's okay. Nothing amazing here, so I take the cheap card. Just deciding what to pick here. Go for Curse. Looking back, I probably would have taken Nerf now. There we go. There's possibly my first use of First Aid Kit this run to get rid of the Curse that I drew and replace the card. So I still ended up taking Powerless. So I'm now dealing 3 less damage with every attack. So the only reason that's doing anything is because I have some power. Again, I would probably take Nerf here just to draw some cards, but actually what I should have done is Nerf my powerless down. Then it would have made Trebuchet worthwhile, but anyway, there it is. Nice. I love Cataphract armor. Once you start depleting health bars, it really builds on itself. Alright, come on, Piggy, what you got? Nothing super exciting here, but I have a decent amount of power, so I should probably just construct my pipe gun. There we go. Nice. Again, I already have 2 trebuchets, so I don't really want a 3rd one. 1 is a lame roll. Let's try that again. There we go, 7, that's what I'm talking about. I think I end up taking Firework here. I do like Firework as a construct card. Definitely up there. It adds the unconstructed version. You can see, increase your mana capacity and then add these Firework rockets to your draw pile. And then the constructed version, means you're adding Firework rockets every turn. And the Firework rockets are nice. Every time you draw one, they automatically sort of fire. They hit the enemy and you get mana for that. So I think it's D12 damage and then a random mana between green, blue, and red, I think. So they're a good thing to be doing. Yeah, that powerless from Feeble. Again, even though we got rid of it, it still is, giving us powerless. And did I choose to put that back on top with maneuver? That's a bad idea. I'm not sure what I did, but yeah, curses you don't want to be putting back on top of your deck, because then you'll draw them again with something else. Unless, yeah, I did, and that was a terrible idea. Unless you want it. Like, for example, later on I get the Curse Insanity, which when you draw it, you gain 3 random mana. But that one actually can be good. If you like random mana, then repeatedly putting that back on top of your deck and then drawing it again for 3 more random mana can actually be really, really good. So, I think Insanity, the curse, is actually possibly just straight up good. Of course, that's the downside of dealing 5 damage to you if you don't figure out how to get rid of it by the end of the turn. But that 3 mana sure is tempting. So I decide not to use any charges to either draw more cards or get more mana or something, and just let him gain his power, because he's not actually dealing any damage to me this turn. Oh, there you go. Look at those fire rockets. They, again, we get mana from that, and 2 of the 3 colors of mana that they can produce are the mana that we're interested in, so. This is another construction card that I think is okay. It's cheap, which is good. It's only 1 mana, and it applies Paper Skin, which is sort of the opposite of Powerless. Powerless makes you deal less damage for each Powerless you have, and Paper Skin makes the enemy take more damage for each Paper Skin they have. I take Shockwave here to try to reduce his power, and then take Firework Rocket. Nice. Get some power from Cataphract Armor for that. Yep. Bad luck is just always generally good. Lots of enemies roll dice at you, or they roll dice for weak or vulnerable, things like that. So another turn where he's not actually going to try and hit us. This is the upgraded trebuchet that only costs 1, which is good. Nice. Bonk him. See, I love this game. Once you start on a roll, you really can do some great stuff. Builder is a great class. Let's see, what would I do if I was me? Yeah, trebuchet seems good. Yeah, let's leave at least 1 dice bonus. Yeah, there we go. Sweet roulette dice is a fantastic relic. Every time you enter a combat, you charge the 1 dice. Again, completely worth corrupting. You just get so many charges of the 1 die, and you know the way this game works. Basically, the more you can cast the 1 die, the better off you'll be. Yeah, more stuff I'm not particularly interested in, and now that I have roulette dice, I am perfectly happy to burn a lot of charges looking for good stuff. This is the reason that you want to charge the 1 die. I end up taking Stellaris here. Again, it's a card I've never used before, so I thought I'd give it a shot. I didn't quite understand the way it worked at first, but basically it makes all the other cards in your hand besides Stellaris when you cast it give you a random mana when you cast them, which is pretty good. Random mana is not that amazing, but as all the multicolored classes, Builder, Barbarian, Pro, are usually 3 colors, you know, because you're always purple, and the purple cards are good, so it's usually worth having some purple mana. So even though the red and the black don't do anything for us, we like neutral, we like green, we like blue, we like purple. So most of the colors are good for us. Once again, I'm now that we have that roulette dice, I think very aggressive use of dice charges is the way to go. Use as many as you think you want. I don't know if I take Magic Hat here, but I know at some point I acquire Magic Hat. And yeah, that's 2 free cards. Again, the Builder wants free cards for Construct. Sleight of Hand could potentially give us buff. Now, the Sleight of Hands that you get from Magic Hat are not upgraded, meaning they don't give you mana, so they're not nearly as good as they could be, but they're free, which is all the Builder wants in the world. Looking at my choices here, I decide ultimately to go middle, even though I want to hit or remove to get rid of Feeble, because Feeble's pretty bad. I really want to hit an elite, try and fight both elites. So we miss out on all the treasure chests, but if I had to choose between a treasure chest and elite, I choose elite every time. That because you get not only the relic but the virtue cards and the just regular cards as well. So now the mouse. One mouse on its own is not that bad. The fight that can really screw you over if you're not ready for it is the 2 mice that also occasionally try to summon more mice. I have absolutely lost to that fight before one of my damage was not good enough to eat through the, army of new mice that they keep spawning. Let's see what we get from design here. Dyson Sphere program. This is an incredible card. If you can build the Dyson Sphere, every card that you draw gives you a neutral mana. Have some power. I think I decided to cast Stellaris just to see what it does, because again I didn't quite understand it. So now I'm looking at the cards and I can see, all the other cards in the hand now gain me a random mana when I cast them. Which is very good. Again, I don't like every single mana color that it makes, but I like green, I like purple, I like blue, and I like neutral, so. Yep, let's just pitch it all to Trebuchet and that'll be enough to kill him. Nice. Again, with roulette dice, we should only ever be taking cards and relics that we want. We should never have to settle. Yeah, I think maneuver is the right choice here over build. I'm deciding between maneuver and build. Brief look at reconsider, but again, our game plan is to, build our construct cards and then cast them. And between we have a build already, maneuver helps us draw them more consistently. This makes the fireworks better. It increases your mana pool by D4 instead of just by 1. But I don't think it actually changes the firework array at all. But it makes just the firework side good. Firework is almost like, in some cases, maybe even better as without constructing it. Because again, when you build it, then you have to wait a turn. Whereas if you haven't constructed it, you can just cast it and get the effect. Yeah, I decided not to do this because I don't want to take another curse until I remove the ones that I have. Yeah, there's that feeble, giving us powerless. Again, it's nice first aid kit to remove it. We still have to deal with the powerless, so it's not perfect, but as I said before, good that it replaces the card, especially for ones that, again, like Insanity or what's the other one? Apathy? I can't remember that, where they do something at the end of your turn and you don't want that to happen. Dice cheat max is great. That means the next, for however many dice cheat max you have, your next X rolls will be their maximum value. And dice cheat min, of course, is your next X rolls will be their minimum value. Just do some trebuchet here. Yep, a lot of kick. I decided to just kick them all. And there's that first. Ooh, nice. Now we have some power and some crit. Now that we've depleted a couple health bars, so. And we have tons of mana. We're doing great. go. I'm just looking for extra cards to pitch for mana to cast Firework Array. Looking at Spike. I've never really used Spike that much before, but I forget if we even get to use any of those rockets, or if I just just one die his health and then pipe gun him and he's dead. Yep. Again, looking for the best cards. You know, we don't with roulette dice. We should be able to reroll plenty. Yep, another metal parts is great. Is that it? Maybe actually our first metal parts? I'm not sure. I know we've discovered metal parts a few times, but that might be the first one that we actually have in our deck. So I draw metal parts, so I'm looking to cast it. Luckily, it's completely surrounded by free cards, so that's a great position for metal parts to be. Probably take Nerf here if it was me. Yeah. If it was future me. Past me agreed. Buff. Yeah, Buff and Nerf are the two best. Because they, again, that decrease and increase is so unique. Alright, now it's all about just casting Gatling Gun. I love the animations in this game. Now that took out 2 health bars, so now we have even more power, even more crit. That's often what you'll find the first time you cast Gatling Gun. It's not like the most amazing, it doesn't kill them the first time, but the second time you cast Gatling Gun, that's when it really shines. I'm trying to figure out ways that I can do that. I decided to just one die up my mana, apparently. And we got 1 green, so pitch that for a blue to cast Gatling Gun second time. And now the second cast. Oh boy. That was much better. Yeah, turns out you can't nerf a number that's only a dice, so I take 1 attack, but I had plenty of blocks, so no problems there. And I have lots of power, so just bonk him with a pipe. Good enough. Again, re-rolling these relics. 1 is always annoying to roll. Don't want a fish tank. Another 1, which means it's still going to be a fish tank in there. 8, here we go. What do I take from here? You know, I think I reroll it again. I don't think I take any of these. Yeah. Yeah, fly is pretty good. I'm pretty sure I take fly here, because we are at least somewhat interested in purple mana to cast the cards that our free sleight of hands find us. I'm deciding if I want to corrupt fly, and I think I ultimately decide not to. I also don't want to completely flood out our mana pool with purple mana. If I draw like a 12, if I roll like a 12 or something on the fly, and that means we're always totally flooded out on purple mana. I don't have any of our blues and reds, or blues and greens rather. Wonder, even though we're not red, Wonder is just so good because it gives you an extra neutral when you draw it. And a purple, if you leave it in your hand, I almost never leave the virtue cards in my hand. That's very, very rare. I'm almost always pitching them for mana, but because most of them, the good ones anyway, they do the good thing just as soon as you draw them, so you don't really care about leaving them in your hand all that much. Do go for another trebuchet siege tent here. Now this is an interesting relic. I was pretty sure I remembered what this did, but they don't really tell you, but it's called the Book of the Dodge Tome. I know I do decide to buy it here, which means whenever you gain block, instead gain evasion, and then also you get +3 to your evasion checks. If I knew was going to get that, I would have taken the bent spoon in the previous result, but here's a bent spoon for us. Do I take it here? I think I might even be later that I take bent spoon. It keeps trying to give it to me this run. I just take another metal parts. That's what you want to do as the builder. You want to buy metal parts. But anyway, if you have Dodge Tome, bent spoon is incredible. Now that gives +7 to our evasion checks. So with Dodge Tome giving 10 with 3, that's a total of +10 to your evasion checks. So pretty good. See, Insanity gives us just free mana. Okay, sorry about that. There you go. The wizard, if you let him do his thing, can be bad, but he's honestly probably one of the easiest enemies in the second floor. He's pretty squishy, as wizards typically are. Maneuvering. We have metal parts we could be building. So again, you can just cast virtue cards. They don't do anything, but they count as casting a card for the purpose of constructing. So it's perfectly valid to do that sometimes. Yeah, let's just one die his health. Buff is great. We'll cast that metal part to construct the other one. Again, remember we're getting all of our block as evasion right now. That's why we're not getting any block. So that's another interesting thing you can do. You can buff dice. So even though you can't nerf dice, you can buff them. So I was doing 2d6 basically damage instead of increase a number by d6, but we were increasing a d6, so that just became 2d6. What do we take here? Don't remember. Another design, it's not a bad idea. It is free. Has the potential to find us a really good card. Alright, Goblin Mushroom Guy. This Goblin Bomber is definitely the more dangerous of the two. Because anytime you don't target him, he puts a bomb in your inventory that you have to cast. Otherwise, it deals damage to you at the end of the turn. And even Gatling Gun, for example, does not count because that's to a random enemy, so it means you don't actually target him. Anything that says to a random enemy does not count as targeting, of course, even if you do end up hitting him. So I decided to just hit him with a few bombs. It is a focus ability, meaning if I delete his first health bar like that, I won't have to deal with the bombs anymore this turn. I'm just playing around here. I'm looking at the different things buff can do, so now one die gives me a d12 plus a d6. It's pretty good. It's one die up our mana. Yeah, still a pretty mediocre roll, but don't remember what I end up doing here. Take the buff. And just end the turn. Pass an evasion. I get bonked by the mushroom guy's spoon, but not a big deal. Pitch to Wonder to draw a card. Have some power and some crit now, but no, not enough mana to cast Trebuchet. Nice. Yep. I don't need a nerf again. I'm looking for mana to cast Trebuchet with. So I can do that by pitching a block. Nice. Another victory. Nice thing about cards like Trebuchet instead of Battle of Wits, because you cast them multiple times. If you delete any health bars between casts, you get the extra power and crit from that. Whereas, like Pipe Gun that says repeat, 3 times, you only have the crit and the and power that you have when you cast the card. And even if you deplete 3 or 4 health bars with your first shot, you don't get the extra crit and power until the end of the cast. Don't remember if I take the second firework here. Strengthen is okay, but I would probably want to corrupt it first before taking it. Decide to take a look at the other cards, and not really interested in any of that. Fast Forward is interesting because Fast Forward, as far as I know, is the only card in the game that affects cards not in your hand. It says, trigger the evolve on all your cards, and that means even if they're in your deck or in your discard pile. So that's not a bad card, especially with Gatling Gun, but it's very rare for me to play Gatling Gun and then not win. So I'd have to construct Gatling Gun and then not cast it, and then have it not win and have it end up in my discard pile in order for Fast Forward to have an effect on it. So that just is not happening all that often. Usually if I can construct Gatling Gun, I'm winning on that turn or probably the next turn. Misclick there. See, I meant to actually cast that, but because I held it off to the right of the screen there, it actually ditched it for mana. That's frustrating. Those mushroom cards are cool. I do like them as kind of a risky thing. Is this where I realize? Yeah, this is where I realize actually Insanity on top of my deck is great because that means I can draw it again with like Blue Mushroom, for example, and get another 3 random mana. This is why I think that Insanity might actually just be a good card. You know, full stop. Ignore, you know, even taking into account the fact that it's a Malady, the fact that it deals 5 damage to you. I'm only on Ascension 1 here, but I know one of the later Ascension penalties is that random mana is more likely to be purple than other colors. But hey, purple's a good color of mana, so the only thing it often can't do is just straight up damage. You know, here's a card that deals X mana. There we go. Again, that first cast of Gatling Gun is okay, but really the second cast is where it's at. Trying to just, work out the line of how am I going to gain more mana. Vitality ought to do it. Did not actually... Yeah, but Stellaris here, again, casting Vitality and casting Wonder for the purpose of triggering Stellaris is valid, even though we didn't actually get any good mana from that. There we go. That's still pretty good, even though it's not Gatling Gun. Once we have 19 power and 30 crit, yeah, it's pretty good. And now finally we have the mana to cast it again. Nice. Not looking for anything here, really. Electromagnetic Induction. Now this is an interesting card. I take it here to try to experiment with it. I think for now anyway, I'm kind of lukewarm on it. So basically, you can do one of these two things, right? Add these cards called Electromagnetic Coils, or a Gauss Rifle. And the Gauss Rifle deals more damage based on how many electromagnetic coils you have. So it's kind of interesting, but not good in my deck. I have a pretty large deck, 29 cards. Whereas that card really wants to be in a pretty thin deck so that you're likely to have multiple of those electromagnetic coils. I mean, one, you need to draw it and cast it twice in order for that to have both of those cards. And just, when you're really cooking in Diceomancer, you're even on a big deck like this, I mean, even on a small deck, you're not going through your whole deck all that many times. You're often winning in just a couple of turns. And maybe that'll change as the Ascension levels get higher. I guess we'll see. I picture my unupgraded sleight of hands here for Trebuchet. Oh, nice. Okay, again, we really want to, once you get that first health bar depleted, and you can start triggering Cataphract Armor and Bloodthirster and all that, then things start cooking. Two successful evasions in a row, even though we didn't have that much evasion, so we actually probably were pretty likely to take damage there. I think I just reduced some health, although future me probably would do it to my deck. I guess I'm not sure. Again, going for that Insanity tech, where putting it back on top of your deck just means you can draw it again and get 3 more random mana. See, even we don't have insanity in hand, we gained 3 mana. It did technically count as us drawing it. So, because we drew it and then we put it back on top. Here I just straight up cast insanity just to get it out of our hands so we don't take damage from it. You know, and at some point I realized, you know, I have so many charges. Let's just use them. Ooh, yeah. We have 16 evasion. Use another charge to try to draw cards. Doesn't work. Try it again. There we go. I don't know why that... Oh, we only ended up drawing 4 there. Should have drew 9, but... There we go. I buy pipe gun, but I don't have the mana to cast it. So annoying. Yep, nothing. I mean, we have 20 evasion. We're not taking any damage. Here's that electromagnetic induction. I do like 4 our case because we end up with a lot of mana that we don't actually really care about, a lot of reds and stuff. The fact that those electromagnetic coils that it gives you don't say convert green and blue, they say add a green and a blue. So, looking at my relics, considering folding fan here. Folding fan is good, generally, but I'm already getting evasion. Basically, all the block that Cataphract Armor is giving me is being converted into evasion by Dodge Tome, so I do take it too. Okay, I do take it. I thought that I re-rolled that, but I guess I didn't. But that's good too. You know, D20 evasion is every 3 health bars is good, or at least once a turn, probably. I think that resets it. You know, if you deplete 6 health bars, I don't think it gives you, you know, 2d20 evasion. Yep, Agile's, you know, in our colors, it's green and purple. It's another virtue card. Any way to get more virtue cards is good. Just barely passed that check. We died it down to an 8 and then rolled a 9. But, hey, it works. I love a flask. I think every deck can benefit from flasks, so happy to take one. Alright, I don't really know what to call the guy on the left. A gopher something? Gopher mouse? Again, this is not the 2-mouse encounter. The 2-mouse encounter is nasty. Gopher mouse is a lot better. I guess he's a beaver. Okay, yeah, he's a beaver. He has an axe because he likes to chop down trees, because that's what beavers do. Yeah. Alright, that's what he is. Pitch to wonder, pitch to wonder. Yeah, this is one of the things about our deck. We have a big deck, but look, we have a handful of cards and not a single one of them does any damage. I mean, there's strike, but none of them do any real damage. Again, we did Shockwave there at the beginning. I think Shockwave is underrated as a damage card, and we just did 8d4 damage, so that was pretty good. Oh, yeah, don't pitch it for mana. We actually want to cast it. So we can guarantee ourselves a 20 now that we have Dice Max, or 12 rather. I use it on my my mana here. There we go. And we have tons of mana that we like. Sometimes you get random mana and it's all crap, but we got neutral, we got blue, we got green, we got purple. Everything we want. And that's still ours. It's pretty good. You gain a random mana every time you cast any of these cards. Flow deals double damage this turn. Absolutely, I'll take that. I'm looking to construct that metal parts into a Gatling gun. There we go. Again, luck helps us with Gatling gun, because Gatling gun is dependent on D6 roll. There we go. Turn 1. Nice, good roll. I don't remember if we take anything here. Go for build. Nice. Good choice, me. Always want to use those campfires to increase your dice charges. 34 charges now. We are sitting pretty. Ooh, failed the check on the mushroom. So sad. Again, we have a build card, so we'd like to design to find something good that we can then build. I go for gun barrel here. For the squirrel, if you have the dice charges to spare, which you should, by the time you reach the squirrel, you always want to dice down his evasion. He's very sneaky. He actually gets squirrel gets wrecked by shockwave. Do I cast it? I don't remember. No, I ditch it for mana. I should have shockwaved. Because again, if that his little persistent thing there, where every card you cast, he gains block and evasion. If you shockwave for 3 or 4, that all becomes nothing. He gains no evasion. That's the main annoying thing about fighting him. Now make the Gatling gun 2d6. I have so many charges, I'm just using them freewheeling here. Love the animations. Animations in this game are so good. 6 luck again. Just use another one to draw some cards. So I can pitch for more Gatling casts. Oh yeah. Not bad. You can see I have so much evasion now. He's 0% chance to deal any damage to me. So I think I just end the turn. I don't remember. Yeah. You got nothing, squirrel. You got nothing. I forgot that he had some burn from that cannon card that we cast. And we have lots of power and crit, so really anything that we find that deals damage is probably going to kill him. Again, checking out this card. See that every electromagnetic coil in your hand will double the damage, so that'll go from 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 if you have all 4. Potentially higher if you cast electromagnetic induction more than once just to get the coils, but again, in the kind of deck that I have that's really big, it's pretty mediocre. In fact, I would probably say just straight up bad. Another cannon shot. Multiverse Portal is such a broken relic, especially with all their sleight of hands. Multiverse Portal with sleight of hand is the secret to doing some truly unhinged, broken stuff. So you see, what I want to do is have that check be really low, but have the number of times I can use it in a turn really high. And I think it's totally worth it to burn a ton of charges making that so. 10 times per combat ought to be good enough. What it does is give you a chance to cast cards that exert more than once. And guess what exerts? Sleight of hand. So sleight of hand exerts, which lets you find buff. Buff exerts, so you can basically buff other buff cards. And then you end up down a really long line. You'll see I do it a little bit at the end as I'm playing around. We have the final boss by the end so locked up that I'm just screwing around with it to try to experiment with it, because up until this run I was aware of the existence of this thing that you could do with buffs, but I had never really done it myself. We'll get to see it at the boss though. Alright, on to the city. Pretty small city, not very many nodes compared to what the city can have. I mean, the city is the smallest of the three areas. I decided I wanted to remove some of these feebles that are in my deck, and I want more relics, so I'm going to go top. Looking at what the upgrades do, the check becomes a little bit easier on the mushroom, but that's it. Dyson Sphere makes the actual sphere a lot easier to cast. It can be green-green or blue-blue instead of green-blue, and I figure that's going to be my best upgrade. Looking at the upgrade here, again, I think in general this is, for our deck, is pretty bad. I'm not sure how it might perform in a very lean deck, because I haven't had it in a lean deck. I'm just looking at the map to see if we're going to get any other chances to upgrade, and no. That's the only upgrade node on this floor. This is a great event to get double the double the charge on your one die. It's incredible. I've had runs, where I already have 80 charges, and then double it, and it just becomes absurd. Yeah, and especially after taking that double the charges, what we should... loudspeaker is great. That's the perfect... as the builder relic. It lets you... again, another way, just like build, it lets you construct cards for free. Not really sure what I'm looking for here. Oh, and I took a relic earlier. I didn't really talk about it. This is the first time I've seen it that doubles the construction speed, which basically means whenever you cast an adjacent card to a construct card, you build twice. You make 2 progress towards it instead of 1. That Florida water that delays the mist is good. I had been thinking that I would pick up a Florida water if I saw it to try and go for that third treasure chest to get more relics. Again, I'm not really sure what relic I'm looking for. You know, we're so powerful. I'm not sure what other relics we even need, but I do go for it. Dyson sphere, nice. I think I do end up using the loudspeaker on it. Yeah, because Dyson sphere is just really good. Now, whenever I draw a card, I gain a neutral mana. It's just crazy. Basically infinite mana. This gargoyle can be frustrating because he always gains as much block as damage that you deal to him. But we're pretty good. We end up low rolling here. Yeah, losing our mana. It's not a huge deal. I'm pretty sure we still win anyway. You can see there's that multiverse portal working. We cast build once, but because build exerts, and we pass the check of 4. Remember that I used the 1 die to lower that check to 4. We get 2 casts of it. Same thing with Blue Flask, gets cast twice. Oh yeah. Damage this turn is double, doesn't actually do anything. If you cast it multiple times, it does not quadruple the damage. It just, you know, because the buff just says damage this turn is doubled. So it doesn't matter if you have 1 of that buff or 20 of that buff. They'll just say damage this turn is doubled. Yeah, and guess what? Double damage, Gatling gun. Pretty good. And other metal parts. Considering that's the main way that we win, you know, we basically will take as many as we can find so that we're extremely likely to draw it. Nice. That's a great event to get, and I've only ever seen it in the 3rd realm, 3rd floor. So I think that's the only place you can get it, but that burger event that lets you get 2d20 max health. Alright. Nothing amazing here. You know, the builder is green, so does have some cards that support the use of minions, but I haven't personally had a builder minion deck yet. I'm not sure. I mean, it just seems that Builder Gatling gun is pretty good. I have actually had a successful run with Builder that did not have Gatling gun. That was the previous Builder run that I posted on this channel. That's a very long, thinky run because we didn't have that one good card. We had to work our way. It was a much more hard fought win. But Dyson Sphere is just so good. Yep, just Gatling gun. Yeah, these guys have that reactive where they do where when you cast a card targeting this counter just also a bad thing when it was the goblin, because he would put a bomb in our hand. It's a good thing with these guys that the cards that deal damage to a random enemy don't actually target them. Again, we get 2 sleight of hands here. Looking for buff. Because what we can use buff to do is increase our mana pool. Nice, so now we have the mana to cast it. I forget what we do, yeah. Now it does 2d6 damage, whatever, it's good enough, 1200 damage. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yet another metal parts, which I'm looking to see how many we already have. And we have 4. But again, we have a big deck, and I really, really, really want to always have a metal parts. So I'm pretty sure I do end up taking our 5th metal parts here. Again, Purple Mist isn't advancing still because we took that Florida water and rolled a 6, I think. So that stopped the mist for 6 turns. Giving us time to come over here and grab that other relic. Now, this guy can be annoying. Change all your mana to random colors. So sometimes that's really bad for you, but sometimes it's actually really good for you. I'm pretty sure later on in this fight, he just gives us a bunch of green and blue mana at one point. Let's see. Nerf, nice, buff. Excellent. Nerf that one ability of his, so he deals 0 damage. So once again, find out you can't nerf dice. Even though you can buff them, which is interesting, but oh, I wonder if you can nerf them if it's the same kind, because that said do D8 less damage, and those are D6s. I wonder if that had been deal D6 less damage, if that would have deleted one of those dice. I'll have to try that out. We have Dyson Sphere, so every card we draw is just more mana. Here I'm starting to experiment with the whole buff a buff thing. And now my buff adds 3d6. And I get 2 of those. I think I end up doing it to dice cheat. I don't remember why I thought this was a good idea, but I just wanted to see how high I could get it, I think. If I had had a card that, said deal damage on it in my hand, I would be doing that. But I'm realizing, I should have constructed Gatling gun first and then done all that buff stuff. Nice. We have 50 dice sheet max. That means the next 50 dice that we roll will be the max value. So, yeah. Again, that first Gatling gun is often somewhat disappointing. But the second cast of Gatling gun, that's when you usually win. Again, Wonder is another great card to use maneuver to put back on top, because you get a gray mana when you draw it. Gatling gun is so good. And I love the animation for it too. That your quote-unquote wizard just pulls out a massive gun, goes to ham. All right, deer is usually not too bad if you're pretty powerful like we are. If you are middling, deer can be an absolute nightmare to fight. In fact, a lot of these third area enemies can be very annoying to fight if your deck isn't very good. And you have to keep letting them take turns, because every turn that they take makes it worse and worse for you. Oh yeah. Now doing D8 and plus 4d6 damage with every cast. Oh yeah. Pitch to Vitality. Pitch to Wonder for some reason. There we go. Nice. Don't really want anything. We're so good that I'm not really gonna waste rolls looking for cards. We don't need any more cards. Thinking about card dealer here. But I think I end up re-rolling relics here. Once again, nothing I'm really super excited about. Wooden dice is pretty good. You'll always take some luck, but I have a lot of charges. I don't really need the extra luck. I don't remember what I do. Yeah, I keep going. I go for Lightning Dagger here. Whenever mana overflows, gain some power. Again, I'd like to corrupt it to be a decent amount of power. And we're always overflowing mana. In fact, we start every round by overflowing a little bit with soda. It's a good event. We don't really need any more wonders at this point, but if you pass a series of checks here, end up with a random relic, which is a airdrop. Perfectly good route. In fact, airdrop is really good if your combat actually lasts to the third turn, which mine very rarely does. So here we go. Time to remove these curses. And our mana pool is always so ridiculously high. We don't really care about one less mana pool every now and then. Yeah, I'm not really looking for a bunch of what is this is. So So I'll gain hesitation, or hallucination rather, and then just delete it at this other card removal. Don't have the money, but we have lots of one-die charges, so we have all the money we could possibly want. There we go. Take a short rest here to recharge our loudspeaker. Look at the shop. I think I end up not taking anything here. If you don't end up hitting a shop in the third area until this very last one, you know, the D20 is good, but, you know, largely unnecessary. Isn't really going to help us that much in the final boss, more than the D12. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. D20 is really good if you find that that one event. We didn't find this run, but the Chaos God event, where you can upgrade your dice early, and then that lets you get the D20 in the second area, or if you can find the relic that upgrades your dice to the D20. Those are both really good if you get them early. But by this point, the D20 is just unnecessary. This is kind of interesting here. You'll see we glitch out this guy's health bar a little bit. And we fail a check 4 there. I decide it's worth it to use the loudspeaker. We have the exact 2 construct cards that we want. Dyson Sphere and Gatling Gun. Now, what's this guy's name? Empty Layer. Yeah, Empty Layer. The way that he works means that you're never actually depleting any health bars of his, because your damage goes up, and then when you hit 1,000 you win. But instead of your damage reducing his health bar, your damage adds to his health bar. So he does summon some seagulls alongside of him. And that will be the only way that we can actually deplete health bars in order to get that power from Cataphract Armor. We actually do have 35 temporary power right now, so we're doing fine. Notice here that even now that this guy does have 286, you know, we've increased it to 286, the bar still isn't green, his health bar. Anyway, you can see that normally what his effect, where he reduces the numbers on your cards for every 10 cards you cast, Shockwave just turned that into 0. So, you know, go ahead and reduce the numbers in our hand by 0 all you want there, Empty Layer. Now, I'm just looking for as many buffs as I can find here. So this is where I start to try to experiment with this multi-buff thing. And I think, yeah, I did this wrong. Really, I should have cast that buff, the one that I just increased, because that would have cast twice. But now this casts twice, and I can add 10d6 to the damage of my Gatling gun, so it's dealing a d12 plus 10d6 damage. Repeat 12 times. Actually need mana to cast it. Again, we get a second use of the 1 die here, so I use it to draw some cards. I mean, I can discard basically anything to get the second mana for Gatling gun. D12 plus 10d6. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Alrighty, well, there was our Ascension 1 builder run. Let's go fishing. I think I mess up a little bit and end up with a 5 fisher here. Yep, 5 fish instead of 6, which is what I normally get, but whatever. So just taking a look at our deck and our relics here. Good stuff. Dyson Sphere is just absolutely insane. Insanity is good, again, in combination with Maneuver, where you can keep putting it on top of your deck and then keep getting mana from it. So that's great. Stellaris, I'm thinking it's like a slightly less good Dyson Sphere. But still good if you don't have Dyson Sphere. Dyson Sphere obviously harder to cast too because you need to construct it first, whereas Stellaris just works. So it might be about as good as Dyson Sphere, considering that you can just cast it without having to do anything fancy. Those sleight of hands are doing a ton of work for us. Alrighty. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time.